Stockholm. The city built on 14 islands where frozen Baltic waters meet ancient rock. A place where Vikings once launched raids across Europe, where medieval kings plotted in stone fortresses, where modernity emerged not through violence, but through careful, calculated progress. This is the evolution of Northern Europe's most enigmatic capital, a city that transformed from isolated outpost to global beacon while maintaining an almost supernatural calm. Stockholm in 1900 is a city of contrasts frozen in time. Gamla stan, the old town, huddles on its island, medieval alleyways unchanged since the 1600s. Across the water, grand buildings proclaim Sweden's ambitions. The population barely reaches 300,000, small by European standards, but something is stirring. Industrialization arrives late, but decisively. Factories line the waterfront. The working class crowds into cramped apartments in Södermalm, while the wealthy promenade along Strandvägen's elegant boulevards. The early 1900s bring social transformation. Sweden becomes a laboratory for progressive ideas, universal suffrage, labor rights, welfare systems that will become the Nordic model. Stockholm leads this quiet revolution. No barricades, no bloodshed, just methodical reform and consensus building. By the 1930s, the Stockholm exhibition showcases functionalism, clean lines, purpose over decoration, democracy in architecture. The city begins shedding its 19th century skin. World War II tests Sweden's neutrality. Stockholm becomes a haven for refugees and a hub for espionage. Nazi agents and Allied spies playing chess in the same cafes. The city darkens its streets, hoards resources, but never hears bombs fall. While Europe burns, Stockholm plans its future with characteristic Nordic pragmatism. Post-war Stockholm explodes with utopian ambition. The Million Program builds vast housing estates, Tinsta, Rinkeby, Husby, geometric forest of concrete meant to house everyone equally. The Tunnelbana, the metro system, becomes an underground art gallery, each station a unique masterpiece. By 1970, Stockholm embodies the social democratic ideal, prosperous, equal, rational, slightly sterile. But cracks appear in paradise. The 1970s oil crisis hits hard. Urban renewal destroys historic neighborhoods. Clara, leveled for modernist blocks that age poorly. The city becomes too clean, too controlled, too predictable. Youth rebel against consensus culture. Punk rock erupts in the suburbs. Immigration challenges homogeneity. Stockholm discovers that perfection is harder to maintain than achieve. The 1980s and 90s bring tech revolution. Ericsson, Spotify, gaming companies. Stockholm becomes a startup hub, the unicorn factory, producing billion-dollar companies at impossible rates. The waterfront transforms. Old industrial zones become hip neighborhoods. Hammarby Sjöstad pioneers sustainable urban development. By 2000, Stockholm population reaches 750,000 in the city proper, nearly 2 million in the metropolitan area. The Nordic model evolves, still social democratic, but now digital, global, multicultural. The 21st century sees Stockholm obsess over one thing: sustainability. By 2020, the city aims for fossil fuel freedom by 2040. Every building retrofit becomes an environmental statement. Green roofs spread like moss across concrete. The archipelago's 30,000 islands become laboratories for renewable energy. Offshore wind, tidal power, wave energy harvesting the Baltic's restless motion. Climate change forces adaptation. Winters warm. Ice no longer reliably covers the waters. The city implements floating architecture, buildings that rise and fall with water levels, districts that can relocate as needed. By 2060, entire neighborhoods drift on the archipelago, connected by autonomous ferry networks. Stockholm embraces its aquatic nature rather than fighting it. Technology integrates seamlessly. Smart city infrastructure manages everything. Traffic flow optimized in real time. Energy distribution balanced second by second. Waste converted to resources automatically. But Stockholm maintains its human scale. No skyscraper mania, no megastructure obsession. The city grows carefully, organically, maintaining sight lines to water and sky. By 2100, 3 million people live in the metropolitan area, but it feels less crowded than in 2025. By 2150, Stockholm has dissolved its hard boundaries. The city flows seamlessly across the archipelago, thousands of inhabited islands connected by underwater tunnels, surface bridges, and aerial transit. What was once city and nature merge completely. You can live on a forested island 5 kilometers offshore and commute to central Stockholm in 10 minutes through transparent submarine tubes, watching fish swim overhead. Architecture evolves beyond recognition. Buildings grow like crystals, bioengineered materials that repair themselves, generate energy, filter water, house both humans and ecosystems. Traditional Swedish design principles, simplicity, functionality, connection to nature, expressed through technologies the Vikings couldn't imagine but would somehow understand. The population reaches 5 million across the extended archipelago, but density metrics become meaningless. Vertical farms and underground caverns, residential towers that are also forests, offices floating on the Baltic, space is used dimensionally. Winter darkness, once Stockholm's curse, becomes an asset. Bioluminescent architecture glows like aurora. The city becomes most alive in perpetual night. By 2400, Stockholm is no longer just a city. It's the core of a Baltic-spanning civilization. Climate change has transformed northern Europe. The Baltic Sea, once cold and hostile, now sustains vast aquatic cities. Stockholm's expertise in archipelago living makes it the blueprint for dozens of similar settlements stretching from Finland to Denmark. The city exists simultaneously above and below water. Surface Stockholm preserves historical aesthetics. Gamla stan looks remarkably similar to 1900, but it's a living museum where actual people live, using technology invisible beneath medieval facades. Below the waves, immense structures house millions, not dark and claustrophobic, but illuminated, organic, beautiful. Swedish culture, once defined by homogeneity, now embraces radical diversity while maintaining core values. The concept of lagom, not too much, not too little, just right, guides civilization-scale decisions. Stockholm becomes humanity's model for balanced, sustainable, equitable urban life. Not utopia. The Swedes are too pragmatic for that. But something perhaps better, a functioning, evolving, livable future. By 2500, Stockholm Commonwealth spans 10 million citizens across land, sea, and hybrid zones. The city that began on 14 islands now encompasses thousands, blurring the line between urban and natural until the distinction becomes meaningless. From Viking settlement to archipelago empire, Stockholm's evolution reveals a different path, not explosive growth but careful cultivation, not domination but integration, not revolution but evolution. 6 centuries of transformation guided by a single principle: progress without destroying what makes life worth living. In the eternal twilight of the northern latitudes, Stockholm's lights reflect off dark waters, ancient and futuristic, solid and liquid, eternal and ever-changing.